Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending the bidders meeting for the performance audit of the Kansas 911 system. I'm Chris Clark, your liaison for Legislative Post-Audit. Joining me today via WebEx is Scott Eckberg, the Next Generation 911 Administrator for the state of Kansas, and also representing the 911 Coordinating Council. First, I'd like to briefly go through some of the administrative details, the scope of work, and then Scott Eckberg with the Kansas 911 Coordinating Council will talk about where Kansas is with regard to NG 911, and then we'll take questions from the bidders. A few administrative things. The bid details and the bid evaluation forms are on our website at ks.gov. Bids are due June 1st by noon. Please send 2 paper copies of the bid proposal to our office manager by the due date. Details are on the website. We will open the bids that same day, June 1st, at 3 p.m. in this room of the Capitol. You're welcome to attend in person or call in. Our website has the remote attendance information. At the bid opening, we'll read the name of the bidder and the amount of the proposed fees. No other information will be made public. We'll also send an email to those on our bidder list with the names and the amount of fees. I will then review and evaluate each bid based on the bid evaluation system. I may call or email any bidders with additional questions or request clarification. When all said and done, we'll send each bidder that bidder's score. The contract will likely be awarded in late June at a meeting of our Contract Audit Committee. When we have the time and date set, I will email all bidders on our bidder list and post the information on our website. You're requested to be present at the bid award meeting to very briefly explain your understanding and approach to the project and answer any questions or provide additional information to the committee members. The Contract Audit Committee is not bound to award the contract to the bidder that has the highest score or the lowest fee. Once the committee has made its selection, we'll enter into a written contract. It's nearly identical language to that which is in the invitation for bids. Once the bid is submitted and the contract is signed, no additional fees will be paid unless there is a written modification to the contract signed by the parties. Progress payments are allowed as outlined in the bid documents. And as far as independence, please report anything to us that could be perceived as an independence issue. The scope of work for this review is evaluation of the Kansas 911 Act. There's 3 main pieces of work. Determination of the status of 911 service implementation across the state. Determine whether the monies received by public safety answering points pursuant to the Kansas 911 Act are being used appropriately, and whether the amounts of money collected through the Kansas 911 Act are adequate. We do require a few things as far as meeting. Prior to field work, the winning contractor, we require a planning meeting between myself and the contractor, and an entrance meeting with the 911 Coordinating Council. During field work, we'll expect status updates regularly. And at the end of field work, we ask for an exit meeting to discuss the findings, the expectations, and a debrief of how the audit went. Regarding field work, you may begin field work anytime after we sign the contract. The draft audit report is due November 1st. Myself and the 911 Coordinating Council will review the draft report and provide feedback. Any changes will be incorporated, and a final audit report is due November 15th, 2023. The contractor then presents the audit to the full Legislative Post-Audit Committee here in the Capitol at a meeting in December. That meeting is normally the first or second week in December, and when the date is known, we'll let you know. The contractor also must present the audit to other committees at the request of those committees during the 2024 legislative session here in Topeka, but we don't anticipate any more than 2 additional appearances. Finally, audit documentation is due within 60 days of the issuance of the report, so that would be January 14th. 2024. I reviewed the documentation. I may have follow-up questions just to make sure I can understand in sufficient detail what testing was done, that sort of thing. Upon successful review of the audit documentation, the final billing payment is made. So that is the administrative components. I'm now going to turn it over to Scott Eckberg, the Next Generation 911 Administrator for Kansas, and he will go over a few things, including some questions we have received.
All right. Thank you. Just kind of a highlight. In 2015, the Coordinating Council began the build out of a Next Generation 911 statewide hosted call handling system. 2 call handling hosts in geodiverse data centers. The PSAPs are connected to those data centers right now through an AVPN network. We're in the process of migrating that to an ASC network for bandwidth and bandwidth at a lower cost. We were actually able to get a low enough cost on the ASC network that we are able to include a commercial broadband connection into each PSAP that serves as another level of redundant connectivity back to the host. Since 2015, when we started out, all of the PSAPs that have come on voluntarily. There's no mandate to do that. It's their choice. At this point, we have all of the PSAPs with the exception of Marshall County and Brown County and Horton PD, a small PD in Brown County, that are on the statewide call handling system outside of the MARC region, which is Atchison County, Leavenworth County, Wyandotte, Johnson, Miami, and Lynn counties. They make up that MARC region. And then there are also 4 Missouri counties that are a part of the MARC region. And for that reason, we treat the MARC region kind of like another state. We work closely with them to ensure that what we're doing and what they plan to do are in alignment and are going to work together. But we don't consider them eligible to come onto the statewide system because of the Missouri counties that would be left outside of what we're doing. Both Marshall and Brown counties have signed up to come onto the system. So by August, late August, we should have those PSAPs, all 3 of them, on the system as well, and we'll be 100% of the eligible PSAPs on the statewide system. Some of the questions that I've seen in regard to the audit, I think I can answer all of them just by giving kind of an overview of how the council has handled expenditures for the past several years. We have a web portal, and each PSAP that receives 911 funds is required annually to file an annual expenditure report. We require them to submit a treasurer's report that shows the beginning balance, all of the expenditures made, and an ending balance on that treasurer's report. In addition to that, we make them put in each individual expenditure of 911 funds that they have made. Our 911 liaisons compare the treasurer's report to what the PSAP has entered. If there's any disparity there, they work with the PSAP to figure out why there's a disparity and correct that. Then all of those expenditures reported by the PSAP are then provided to the expenditure review committee for review. And those members go through those line by line and identify any expenditures that they question as to whether they fall into one of the 8 allowable uses or not. Many times the question is then taken back to the PSAP for an answer. When the answer comes back, it's more verification that we're understanding what they're reporting with the expenditure than anything. But If there are questions, we go back to the PSAPs, ask those questions, get the answers, and the expenditure review committee reviews the answers and then makes a determination of whether it's an allowable or unallowable expense. If there are expenditures identified that are just absolutely unallowable, or if the answer to the question results in a decision by the expenditure review committee that it is unallowable, then we go back to the PSAPs, advise them that we have found it as an unallowable expense and ask them to reimburse their 911 account from the county or city general fund for that expenditure, and to provide us documentation in the form of a treasurer's or clerk's journal entry showing the transfer of the funds. If the expenditure review committee makes a decision, we go back to the PSAP and they don't agree with that decision, they have the right then to appeal that to the full council. The full council will hear the reasoning of the expenditure review committee and of the PSAP, and the full council will make a determination as to whether it's an allowable expenditure or not. If the PSAP is not satisfied with the full council's decision on the expenditure, then they can appeal that to the Kansas Office of Administrative Hearings, and a hearing is held. Both sides present evidence, and a determination is made then by the Office of Administrative Hearings judge. If the PSAP doesn't like the answer they get there, they can then appeal it to their district court. So there's multiple levels of appeal of the decision. To date, we've had one expenditure that was appealed to the Office of Administrative Hearings, and that was, I believe, 2 years ago that one was appealed, and the decision of the council was upheld on that appeal. The council is willing to share one additional thing. When the PSAPs submit their annual expenditure report, our web portal automatically just randomly picks 5 of the expenditures that they have reported and notifies them that they need to upload the invoice in support of that expenditure. If they have less than 5, then it picks all of the expenditures that they've reported. So we have at least 5 receipts for every PSAP, and all the receipts if they have less than 5. The expenditure review committee reviews those invoices in support of those expenditures as well. We are willing, as a council, we're willing to share any of the data that we've already collected with any of with the successful bidder on this LPA audit. And we'll work with the successful bidder to ensure that they have everything they need from us to perform the audit. And with that, I think I would stand for questions.
Thank you, Scott. Do any callers or anyone online have any additional questions? Okay, then just as a reminder, there's about a 4-page document on our website that has answers to several questions we've received that Scott just kind of gave an overview of. The website again, www.ks.lpa.org. With that, if there's no additional questions, I'll wait one more second. Not seeing any. I think we're good then. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. We hope you got some good information, and please let me know if you have any issues or concerns. Thank you.